going to bring in David Moore of the Dallas Morning News right now. And David, how you doing?
Great. How are you guys doing?
We're great. Always a story down there in Dallas and Jerry World. Can you describe yesterday? How do you summarize what happened down there?
Well, there have been a few days like this before, but the Cowboys are certainly known for extremes, not just on the field, just off the field in a steady bombardment of news. I really think that over the last 3.5 to 4 weeks, it's been unprecedented. In the past, it would always be a one-centric story. It'll be, Jimmy and Jerry or Michael Irvin or something, and a lot of story angles would come out of it. But this has been just one assault after another coming from many different directions. Yesterday, you had it on kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum. You had Josh Brent, who was convicted of intoxication manslaughter, his conditional reinstatement coming down a few hours before, actually within the hour of when that came down, it was being official. Word came out that they wanted to get Michael Sam on the practice squad, and he was flying in. Yesterday, the cars and the people that came out were actually parked on the street down a curve where you had to park and not even see the complex. There were so many people there yesterday.
Why do you think they brought Michael Sam in?
Well, I think that's a really interesting question because this is a team that had 5 picks in the 7th round of the draft. They didn't use any of those picks on Michael Sam. Michael Sam was not on their draft board. In fact, the pick before Michael Sam was taken, the Cowboys were on the clock and took Ahmad Dixon, a safety out of Baylor, who they have since released. But everything this team has tried to do to upgrade its defense in the offseason has not worked out. They moved up in the draft to get DeMarcus Lawrence. He fractured his foot 4 days into camp, and now he's going to miss half the season. Tyrone Crawford, coming off of an Achilles injury last year, clearly hasn't worked his way back yet. They let Jason Hatcher and DeMarcus Ware go. So this was a very poor defense last year that has really done nothing to upgrade itself. And when you look at who it released going into this season, no one on this active roster got any sacks in a preseason game. So Michael Sam, while he wasn't on their draft board, showed that he could be productive in St. Louis in the preseason. The fact they had so many players who have shown they cannot be productive, I think they felt, look, 10 players on the practice squad, we'll bring him in as the 10th guy. If he can give us something, that's more than what we have now.
So you're looking at a guy like, Michael Sam. How long do you think he stays on the practice squad, considering all the different moves that they've made at the defensive end position with Hatcher and Ware and all those guys being gone?
Yeah, last year I looked at it. They had 21 defensive linemen rotate through the roster last year. 4 of those actually came up from the practice squad to play. 3 of them played the week they actually were brought in. So that's how bad things got last year. They have some players like Anthony Spencer started this season on the active roster, but he won't be ready to go for 2 or 3 weeks. I really think if Michael Sam is going to be brought up to the active roster, it's going to be sooner rather than later because they have some players out there who are going to start coming back in on that defensive line later in the season. So it's really incumbent on him, I think, to show what he has early, press some of these guys, and really make them give them a decision to make over these next 3 to 4 weeks about whether or not he can be called up to the active roster and help them.
Now, people go back and forth and they say, Michael Sam coming in, obviously he's going to make, he's going to make headlines. Some people are going to call that a distraction, obviously, with some of the things that have unfortunately gone on down in Dallas. They've had other distractions as well. Do you think that contributes heavily, to their 8-8 seasons?
Well, I've maintained for the last several years that the Cowboys have really become the Kardashians of the NFL. that they're popular for being popular, that they're chaotic and people are mesmerized by what's going to happen and what they're doing. But there's nothing, they're competitively irrelevant while being socially relevant and as far as creating a buzz. And so in a lot of ways, I believe this team is equipped to handle. I don't want to minimize this at all and say Michael Sam is a peripheral issue. But this is a player on the practice squad right now because of that he is the first openly gay player in the NFL. You understand everything that comes with that and the social microscope, if you will, that will be placed on him. But this is a team that has dealt with all sorts of things and constantly deals with things. Has that impacted them to where they have been 8-8 for 3 consecutive seasons? I think it's more just the lack of talent overall throughout the roster that contributes to that more than the Kardashian atmosphere or the circus atmosphere that surrounds this team.
Great little metaphor there. Thank you so much, David Moore.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dallas Morning News.